Hey everyone, now it's time to welcome Mr. Mike Nichols to the Tip of the Spear Leadership Podcast. Mike is here to discuss leading Marines from the drill field and boot camp to the battlefields of the Middle East, and maybe the most difficult part, transitioning back to the civilian world after the military. Hi Mike, thanks for joining us and welcome to the show.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Please give the listeners an introduction of who you are, what you're doing. Give us a glimpse into Mike's world.
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Michael Nichols. I had the honor of serving 22 years of federal service. I did 12 years active duty in the Marine Corps, 10 years at the Department of Veterans Affairs. I retired federal service after 22 years back in 2019, and now I work for as the Director of Military Operations for F-45 training, and I help servicemen and women convert their military experience into the fitness industry before they get out of the military.
Awesome. So I want to start with your time as a drill instructor, and I'd like to talk about the leadership as a drill instructor. Can you kind of go through with us what that encompasses, and the process of taking individuals when you receive them and making them work as a team, have discipline, and accomplish the goal of basic boot camp?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's first and foremost, for any listener out there that's considering becoming a Marine Corps drill instructor, I think it's very important to know that, look, it's almost like it was a calling for me. I remember being in the fleet stationed in 29 Palms, California, and I was just so excited to go train recruits. And so I applied for the drill field and got orders because I knew that that's something I wanted to do before I got out of the military. And when you go to MCRD, San Diego or Parris Island, whichever one you go to, that's where we train recruits. You have to go through a pretty arduous vetting and training process. It's kind of like you go back to boot camp all over again, but now you're an NCO or staff NCO, and now you have to go back to the basics of learning what being a a Marine under the discipline of being a drill instructor, and you go through this pretty arduous training process that really vets out the wrong candidates to be drill instructors. And if you can make it through that process, then you become a Marine Corps drill instructor. And I remember when I was towards the end of my training to be a drill instructor, they send you across the street to bird dog with recruits. Bird dogging basically the last week of being a drill instructor student. They put you in the trenches with drill instructors that have campaign covers. You don't have a campaign cover, but you're over there yelling and screaming. And I remember when I went over there and did that, we did it for 3 or 4 days. Can't remember how long. And I remember I was absolutely exhausted from yelling and screaming and being on my feet. It was almost exciting to come back to drill instructor school and to take a break away from the recruits, because you knew that it's kind of like that Pringle commercial, once you pop, you can't stop. Um,
Yeah.
and so like I was excited to get back to drill instructor school, graduate. You get vacation in between, because most people that are in drill instructor school are at many different duty stations. So if you make it through drill instructor school, then you have your official orders. Then you can move your family or kids to the San Diego area. So you normally take about 30 days leave. So I said that to say this, that being a Marine Corps drill instructor was probably the hardest thing I've ever done in my entire life. From being a leader and trying to be on almost 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, it consumes you. It absolutely consumes you. And I remember looking back now, it was one of the hardest things I've ever gone through, but one of the most accomplishing things I've ever experienced in my entire life. So I'll just kind of pause right there, and that way you can jump in, Mike, and we can just guide the discussions for